Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Glashutte Original Senator Rattrapante. You can see this flyback and split-second chronograph on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Glashutte Original Senator Rattrapante. Now, the watch on my wrist should be described as a very light shade of pink gold. This is a watch that is officially rose gold, but I can tell you that in the video, through my viewfinder, as well as to my naked eye, the watch appears to be somewhere between pink and yellow gold. It is one of the lightest rose shades I have ever seen, so keep that in mind. The watch is effectively true to color as you're seeing it. It is not a darker red. It is very handsome, however, and it fits well. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, the watch is 42 millimeters across the round of the case, not including the split-second trigger, chronograph pushers, and the crown. It's thick, but not excessively so. It looks thicker than it is, 15 millimeters as I measure it from sapphire to sapphire. It does have a generously sloped conical bezel, so it will slide underneath a suit jacket cuff. I'm not sure that it would clear a dress sleeve beneath. So French cuffs, you may want to try before you buy, but that's why we offer no questions asked return policy. You will find, however, that it's comfortable. Now, lug to lug, the watch has a span, reasonable span, of 49 millimeters, and I would say that 49 millimeters, keeping it under 50, is ideal for those like myself who have a smaller wrist. I'd consider a smaller wrist anything from 14 to 16 and a half centimeters for a man. Now, the watch could be worn, in my opinion, on a wrist as small as about 14 and a half centimeters in circumference. The lug to lug span, as well as the short cropped and tightly downturned profile of the lugs, really gives you a planted stance and a handsome aesthetic on the wrist. Having the lugs fade away, as you can see, they sort of bend down around the wrist rather than flaring out. It eases the aesthetic and also improves the fit. Also improving the fit, the fact that the strap doesn't flare too much. It does fight you a little bit because it is very massively constructed of exceptionally high-grade alligator leather, but for the most part, you can see how tightly downturned those lugs are, and the flow of the strap is more or less straight down, so it will cradle itself on your wrist and stay planted. Handsome, the fit is good, the heft is immense. You will feel like you are wearing a very hefty premium watch. If you're familiar with something like a stainless steel Royal Oak offshore, it has that kind of heft about it. I mentioned the strap is a handsome and deluxe piece, and yes, it is that. Bolstered with a conforming end profile to close the gap to the flank of the case ensures a very integrated and handsome look. It's also a very tough material. Lightly bolstered down the center once you get away from the lugs. It's folded on the edge with a monotone stitch. It's a gloss black on the underside. It is a supple calfskin. You can't quite see, but it is a natural grain calfskin on the bottom. The clasp is substantial, as you can see. It is a Geo twin folding clasp with twin trigger release and finished beautifully inside and out. You can see polished every individual component, and the twin trigger release I prefer on a large, heavy, and expensive watch because it does mean you have to positively disengage not one but both triggers to pop it open. More peace of mind and security for your investment. The watch itself has simple but handsome lines. There's something vaguely pocket watch inspired about the aesthetic, and since Glashutte Original was in fact a pocket watch manufacturer par excellence during the 19th century and for much of its pre-communist 20th century history right up through the late 1940s, this is an homage to that era as well as a statement of technological capability in this era. The lines are simple. You can see there's a small transitional bevel about the flank of the lug to ease the transition from the tops to the sides, but it's all in high polish, and there are only a few lines to give character and definition to the case. There's the junction of the bezel with the case band and the junction of the case back with the case band. You will note, however, a clever trick. To give the watch a fuller, more voluminous lug with a bigger arc, the bezel was sunken below the plane of the top of the lug, so the bezel is actually somewhat lower at its bottom end than the tops of the lugs. This was done to make the watch thinner in profile while still giving the lug a full form and arc. Now, when viewed from head on, all of that melts away and the dial dominates. The dial is a solid silver base. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. a solid silver base that has been covered with an opaline matte metallic silver, stylized Roman numerals printed on in black. Outboard, you can see that there is a minutes and seconds track in black with small red Arabic numerals that make it easier to read the chronograph, and you will want to, because it is not one but two chronographs, a split second or rattrapante. It has another trick. This is ideal if you want to time two separate events that are occurring concurrently, such as two cars around a racetrack that continuously cross a finish line or a start-finish point, and then you can use the split-second functionality to judge the gap between them. Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it staying static? Because you never have to stop the chronograph. You can continuously time those events. But it's also a flyback. Now you can reset it and restart it as you would many aviators' chronographs. So you have to time two events that occur in very rapid succession as opposed to two events occurring concurrently. That's where you want to use the flyback, because it allows you to restart and reset and essentially commandeer all functions of the chronograph with a single push of the button. Otherwise, you would be in a position where you have to first stop, then reset, then restart. With the flyback, it all happens in one motion. So it's both a flyback and a split second. Now it is a little bit quirky. There's a lot of color on this dial. You can see the beautiful cobalt blued hands, assegai or spear style for the minutes, and a poivre or pear style profile for the hour hand, almost baroque. It's a strange look for a sports style chronograph, but it does work. The watch has a lot of unique Glashutte charisma about it. Things that you will not see on other watches are present in force here. Also note that the sub-registers are above the cannon pinion at center. They're elevated considerably above the center of the dial. There's an aperture for the double-digit date, which is redolent of German watchmaking in the modern era. And of course, the double-digit date with flush double wheels, so there's really no tangible gap between them. Now, the interesting thing about this movement, caliber 9901, is that unlike many geo movements, first let me just express that it features hacking or stop seconds for precise setting, but unlike many geo movements, this one does feature a proper quick set mechanism. There's no pusher adjuster on the case flank. You can control all of the functions through the crown. Turning the watch over, you get a sense of what that movement looks like, and it is impressive. Twin column wheels, as you can see, for the split second functionality. The bridges are gorgeous. Now you can see how many blued screws there are, all immaculately kiln fired and heat blued. None of these are dyed. You can also see when I turn the watch flush to the camera how many components are black polished here, the highest standard of optical finish, because they all turn dark when I turn them flush to the camera. Moreover, you'll note that it is a forest of metal. It has a very layered aesthetic, this manual wind 44-hour power reserve caliber 9901. It leaves nothing to the imagination in the best sense. That is, you can see and inspect it from all aspects and all angles, and from different angles you can see things you can't see from others. So you will want to own a loupe, you will want to turn it, really peruse this, and get the full advantage of that for which you've paid. The crowning glory is a balance that features both a black polished swan's neck regulator and a hand engraved balance cock, freehand engraved. If you're thinking that's a lot like what Longa does, you're absolutely correct, and it's just as beautiful. The balance beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and because it is a manual winding watch, you're going to want to know, how does it wind? An absolute pleasure. It has just enough refinement so it doesn't feel coarse and mechanical, but also just enough spring detent that you do have a tangible link to the machine within. It doesn't feel excessively creamy. Refined inside and out, covered with color and character, and with both a flyback and a split-second functionality, one of the kings of chronographs. You can see and you can purchase this Glashutte Original Senator Rattrapante in rose gold on our website.